All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. My name, in case you don't know who I am, my name is Todd Browse, and I'm here. Well, she's not here right now, but my co-founder, Susan Schultz, she'll be joining us in a little while, I hope. We would like to welcome everyone to HBAP Startups, and let's get started. For those of you who are new to the Startups group, we do a few announcements at the beginning of each meeting. We'll do some short networking breakout rooms, and then we'll come back together for our main event. And first off is our mission. We're here to help foster and fortify an innovation and entrepreneur community coming out of the Harvard Business Analytics program. Our goal is to provide our members with the tools, knowledge, leadership, and confidence necessary to create and grow their businesses from the ground up. Right, wrong one. I'll put some links into the Zoom chat for you guys to get in touch with us. Please fill out the surveys and check out our YouTube channel. Anyway, this is Susan's part. Normally, this is our code of conduct. And again, our goal is to create an inclusive environment for everyone. We want to make sure that we're collaborative and everything's based on confidentiality and trust. And if anyone presents something, all rights are reserved by that presenter. And we do abide by the HBAP honor code, and we expect that people would conduct themselves in an ethical and moral way. We do use, when it comes to feedback, we do use Francis Fry's 5-to-1 feedback ratio, 5 pieces of that positive reinforcement to every 1 piece of constructive advice. Please, no destructive advice. We're not trying to hurt people around here. If there is a conflict of interest in something, please disclose that, discuss it, and then we'll decide on how to address it. Are there any new folks here who want to raise their hand and introduce themselves? Anne, I'm going to cold call on you, Anne.
Okay.
You're relatively new, but give us a quick 10-second introduction. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do? How did you hear about us? And what's your superpower?
All right. I am Amasette. I'm a co-founder of Persephone. The way I heard about you guys was through Ashey. So last week, a couple of weeks ago was my first time to attend. What I do is I work with Ashey, and I also work with a receiver who helps liquidate insurance companies. So that's my current job that I do. And my superpower is, I hate saying this. This is going to make you guys laugh. I can take my toes and fold them like my hands.
We're going to come back to that later. Ashley, we're going to definitely come back to that one later. All right. Thanks, Anne. It's a pleasure.
I've seen that.
Here. Thank you for coming. So bad. All right. Upcoming schedule. Well, tonight is Ashley with 2 E's. We'll have to get back to that one as well. Next week, Cynthia Gilbert from Blue Shift IP. She will be talking about protecting intellectual property for AI in technology. And she's going to deal with the snarliness of protecting your IP. And so please collect any questions you might have for her. That should be very interesting from a legal perspective. Don't forget, July 5th, we are not meeting startups, but it is the HBAP social event for all HBAPers. July 12th, Phil Morris is going to come talk about the entrepreneurship of acting. He played Jackie Childs on Seinfeld, for those of you who might not know who he is. July 19th, Susan and I were preparing a workshop, and we're wondering what to do. I'm thinking we might want to do some ChatGPT related stuff, but I need your feedback on this one. I'm doing some stuff with the class that I'm teaching with ChatGPT, so we're thinking about running some stuff like that for you guys. How can entrepreneurs use ChatGPT to help do the work that we do? And then on July 26th, Congressman Jimmy Gomez from California will be coming to talk about artificial intelligence regulatory complexities and how we deal with all of that in Congress. So that should be a lot of fun. Let's do some breakout rooms. Give me a second while I prepare this stuff, about 5-6 minutes. And I will see you guys. Let me recreate because we had a couple people join since I built this. All right, I think 2 or 3 people in each room. I'll see you in a few. I'm recording. All right. Hi, Simon. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks for coming. Everyone should be coming back any second now, I think. All right. Let me share my screen again. Sorry. There we go. All right,
We're
welcome
having
back.
fun.
Sorry, go ahead, Martin.
I said we're having fun. All of a sudden, it's 2 seconds.
Yeah,
It's okay. It
It's
was
fast.
good. Thank
all
you.
right. So I hope you guys had fun in your breakout rooms. Just as a little reminder, after this session tonight, when you exit Zoom, please there's a survey that'll pop up in your web browser. Please fill out that survey. Filling out surveys saves lives. It reduces your cholesterol levels. It gives you great complexion. It increases your stamina. And we just love the data. And again, we'll stick around for some overtime after we stop recording. And again, remember, the recordings are going to be posted on YouTube. All right. And now it is my pleasure to introduce tonight's speaker, Ashey Wilson. Ashey is the founder and CEO of Persephone.ai, and she's the winner of the 2023 Harvard Business Analytics Program Pitch Competition. Ashey is an HBAPer from cohort 3 and an analytics and data expert. She's a change influencer, mentor, mother, leader, and a friend. Ashey is an entrepreneur who has built several things. She's the founder of Jaw Analytics and Epiphany, and she's also built the HalloweenMap.com app, where families can safely disclose how they're participating in Halloween so that others will know what to expect when visiting their home. Ashey has extensive knowledge and experience in the insurance industry. So when she's not working on her startups or taking care of her kids, she's the VP of insurance at Seguro. I tried to pronounce that correctly. I practiced and I failed. Seguro, which is one of the best auto insurance services in the great state of Texas, where they're creating insurance products serving the Spanish-speaking community. And now, without further ado, as is our custom here, if we could all please briefly unmute ourselves and let's give a warm round of applause to Ashey Wilson.
Yay.
Ashey, thank you. Just a quick little announcement. Ashey's going to run through her pitch, or her winning pitch, for us, and then we're going to open it up to a few short questions. The goal for tonight is to help Ashey prepare for tomorrow's LinkedIn Live event with Doug and Rana. And we need to get the link to that on how to sign up for that. I'll find that and post that in the Zoom chat. So, Ashey. It's all
Thank
you.
you, Todd. I appreciate the warm introduction. So everyone, I'm going to be running a couple of things while I pitch, but it is just a replica of what I did at the pitch competition. It's the 8-minute version. And I welcome your feedback at the end of it and really appreciate you all being here. So Todd, I'm going to screen share.
Absolutely. Please go ahead.
Perfect.
Awesome. We can see it.
Wonderful. And I do have one technical difficulty. I have a live loop of the Persephone app in motion, but it is not going to be able to play for us tonight, sadly.
No worries.
Thank you. Most people don't think that I come across as having experienced significant trauma, and I've worked hard on that. But tonight I'm going to get vulnerable because I can't ask our users to trust me with their innermost secrets without going there with them. I'm a mom to 3 perfectly made young boys, and they are really proud that I'm here tonight. But they can't watch mom pitch because this is such a sensitive topic. I left my marriage under a safety plan. That's a strategy for how to exit a dangerous situation to keep yourself safe. Counselors, therapists, psychiatrists, the police, forensic examiners, family law attorneys, forensic nurses, and even Child Protective Services were a part of this journey with me. And even with all of those resources, getting results was very difficult. The existing systems do not work well enough for people in active abuse. And because of the legal system, Nobody could actually help enough with my situation. The reality is, it is no simple task to navigate what you will need while also surviving in crisis. Hi, I'm Ashey Wilson, CEO and founder of Persephone.ai and a graduate of HBAP from Cohort 3. We're building a platform to help people escape from abuse. Persephone guides you to collect evidence in the right way that a judge will understand, that the legal system can act upon. We do this by building a hidden app within an app, one that only you can access. We privately record text, audio, video, a personal account of near real-time documentation of an event that allows it to be entered as evidence in court, free to the world. Make encrypted notes, list out your safe people, begin your safety plan, and then a pro subscription with voice-to-text transcription, language translation, video, audio, PDF upload, and even tag impacted people like your children. Beyond the MVP, we have the Persephone ecosystem, a suite of products all designed around the protection of Persephone's users. So what can we do about it? We can guide our user, this woman who is scared but knows she must act, and we can guide her with an AI recommender system while building an indisputable record to support her exit. That AI that's underlying Persephone is learning from users' experiences. It's using a feedback loop and offering emotional AI recommendations for future users on what the best next steps are. From there, 3 products enter the Persephone brand in growth years 3 to 5, including body cam telematics jewelry, relationship insurance, paying you restart capital to get you moving, sexual assault insurance, paying the cost you may incur from damages, medical expense, trauma therapy, pain and suffering. And that subrogation process goes after the offender in civil court. Telematics body cam jewelry allows the wearer to record discrete audio and video footage via live stream to Persephone servers, while also tracking their GPS location in the background. And did you know one-party consent recording is allowed in 38 states in the US? A prototype design meeting with engineers in Houston allowed me to gain a bid for an initial working design. These R&D conversations also allowed for further understanding of the potential limitations around live streaming, battery life, and size of hardware. We are working on discrete charging and how the footage can integrate into the existing app build for users that buy up into the telematics jewelry feature. I'd now like to introduce you to the insurance products to be offered by Persephone. The first is relationship insurance. Now, you may be wondering, what is relationship insurance? Because you haven't heard of that before. And that's because it doesn't exist yet. There are so many instances where women know that they need to change their situation, but they simply cannot. This is usually due to financial imbalance in the relationship and certainly prevalent for stay-at-home moms. We can shift that imbalance of power, and we can give our customers a true exit, a financial backdoor to allow change to happen for the people that need it. Next is sexual assault insurance. Cover you or your family. Purchase it for a loved one. The downstream impact is that more people are going to be encouraged to file that police report, receive that exam, and that we can begin to quantify more broadly where these crimes are taking place and sharing that invaluable data in an anonymized way back with our users or additional consumers of data, like existing law enforcement and nonprofit participants. There's so much that can be done here to move the needle and empower change. So how many people are we here to talk about tonight? 1 in 3 women worldwide, according to the World Health Organization. 36 million women in the United States alone. Our market size analysis is currently just women. It does not include impacts to men, children, or the elderly, which will become part of future work. We know that abuse is not gender or age specific. Now let's take a look at the current competitive landscape and how Persephone can overlay this existing infrastructure. There are many opportunities here to enhance what is already in existence while reducing friction for government agencies and those in the legal system. Persephone is involved in 5 verticals with varying degrees of opportunity, and then things that look more like pure competition in areas like telematics jewelry. For instance, we know we have jewelry competitors, the Apple Watch, is one of them, but it's not discreet, and an abuser can take it off your arm because they know that too. InvisiWare can send an SOS or GPS track you, but it is not designed for our target market. Insurance doesn't have these products, but it does have the existing infrastructure to support them. My business partner, Ann, and I have the insurance know-how, the network, and the connections to make that product real. The legal system and feedback from legal advisory connections support that this will be invaluable to judges making hard decisions and doing more to limit he said versus she said situations in the courtroom. Our team is comprised of equally passionate contributors. Ann and I have worked together for 14 years. She was co-owner and COO of the company where I worked after undergrad. We have a track record of turning around a failing insurance company and successfully building many products within that company. Cindy Conway, a fellow cohort 3 graduate, offers regular guidance to me on operational proficiency and asking me the hard questions. Our team is ready to solve this. Persephone quietly interrupts the abuse cycle and makes it more possible for those in abusive situations to exit safely. I know that the world needs Persephone to exist and that I'm the right person to make that happen. I needed these products. I cobbled together existing ways and all of my grit to exit. We can help people in real and tangible ways. This is about giving our users trust in themselves, power, regaining their empowerment, and freedom. We are coming to reclaim all three. Thank you. Okay. All right, so there's the pitch from the pitch competition. And I wonder, did anyone time it? I don't know how long it took.
I didn't time it. Oh,
I didn't time it either.
well,
but-
it's recorded. We'll figure out with it afterwards. Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome.
So would you like to, is it okay for us to open it up to some Q&A real quick, and then we can talk about the LinkedIn Live thing?
Yes, I think that's
All
great. Let's do that.
Oh, and Mafe's right out with her hand up. So Mafe. Hi, Mafe.
I said I better I better share now because I have to leave earlier. So yeah, so it's a great presentation, and I had I also was thinking that how you had delivered it tonight is kind of perfect for a television commercial or a recorded without live audience. Because I had seen you pitch the first time and then comparing it today, I think because you had you kind of practice it a lot, so tonight the connection is different. Like I said, well, it is perfect for a recorded and we are listening, but during the live session, I think if it's okay for you to bring back that connection from before. If so, I don't know how, and I don't know how to express it, but maybe you'll find out from 2 different comparison of recordings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mafe. So nobody else has any questions about Persephone? I can't believe that. Okay, Victor, thank you. And then we'll go to Jeremy.
Well, I want to restate the very, very strong impression that this pitch gives. After signing off and just thinking about not just your pitch, but the story and more importantly, the solution, I have to tell you that the way you do the transition in the beginning, where you obviously intentionally hit the points of difficulty, right, in the very beginning, but then you have a pause and a smile and a hi, I'm Ashley Wilson. I wanted to tell you that that is one of the single most powerful elements of any pitch that I've ever heard. If you question whether it's effective, it's for me quite effective, and it's not melodramatic. More importantly, I think it's absolutely necessary to do what you're doing in this presentation to make your connection not just with the audience, but with the other people who share your experience. It's essential to establish the merit of and the depth of your solution and the potential of your solution, which I noticed in one slide it refers to emotion AI as part of the future. Perhaps it's in development, I don't know, but you touch every base in introducing the subject matter, the solution, the team, and most importantly, the need. So I don't know if you have any questions of yourself or your team about how it went last time. Win aside, I know you're always going to kind of assess how you did. I think you did equally well tonight. Um, I think if I could understand Mafe's feedback, there might have been a little more nerves in the pitch competition. And I would guess, and you don't have to respond to this, but I would guess it's because it's the first time you've shared some very personal things with this group, or maybe with any group. I don't believe for a second that you were nervous to pitch in a competition format. So that's my feedback for tomorrow is I imagine you'll be nervous because it's a wide audience and it's recorded and all that. But if you are equally vulnerable as you were tonight and during the competition and equally informative, the rest of it just comes through your passion for helping others, your passion for what was missing for you that you can provide to others. All that content comes through, at least for me, it comes through in between the lines of the words that you're saying. The only other thing that crosses my mind is, and I don't know that your hosts tomorrow will put you in an on the spot position, but don't hesitate for a moment to address anything they have to say with confidence, because it's all there, right? And you don't have to worry about who's listening. Just you know the people that you're talking to. Just consider it a conversation with 3 people and a coordinator, and be yourself and tell your story once again the way you told it tonight and before, and you will be absolutely fine.
Thank you, Victor. Oh, always a pleasure when you give me feedback. And, you know, it's interesting, kind of bringing together, Mafi, what you said, and Victor, what you're saying. I've gotten, you know, I've heard this before a little bit and sharing inside of Persephone and working on what I would say and how I would present it. All the way from, this seems like a sensitive topic. Why aren't you more emotional? To, you know, you seem perfectly centered on being emotional enough, to, should you be, you know, not vulnerable at all in its business? And I think that it resonates different for different people. And for me, I felt like I wanted to strike a balance where I could still, you know, spend 6 minutes in the middle, just really focusing on what the product can do. But not be so oriented around the business potential that I didn't connect with people and let them understand that it's personal for me and the passion comes from that. And that I think that's a really important component of why I want to spend my time building this.
Yes, and Jeremy, if you would allow me just another moment to respond to that. I know, I'll apologize now. I'll yield back as soon as I can.
Sorry, Jeremy. We'll get to you in a sec.
Yeah.
And I think your message is very important to be delivered, because there are people out there that really needs it. and it's also important for them to hear, and they could trust, because if there's no connection, even though it's very good product, the trust cannot go through. So that's just
Mhm.
what I was thinking when I raised my hand. Thank you.
Yeah, and what I wanted to I guess punctuate that pause from the time when you tell the difficult part until the time you reintroduce yourself, and that really powerful, even if you're in a situation where you have to count to two, just take 2 seconds of silence in between. It's almost for me, the first time I heard it, it almost caught me off guard, because I thought the story was going to continue in the same vein into the solution, which would have been a typical pitch. But the way you pause and the way you represent yourself with a smile and a purpose, right, that comes through loud and clear, that is as much emotion as anyone could hope to put in a pitch. The rest of it is sort of, I'm not sure what the right word is. There's an aura around your story, and that whole thing changes with that pause, right? And just one counterfactual point: if you were to be outwardly emotional, it would raise question in an audience whether you were ready to be the right person to do what you're doing, in my perspective. So I can't think of any change that I would make in terms of level of emotion. I think it's pretty perfect the way it is.
Thank you.
So
It's interesting, that transition that
Mhm.
you're speaking about between my personal introduction, why I'm here talking about Persephone at all, and where I introduce the business part of Persephone, is part of the 3-minute submission that I made to the pitch competition, when that was vetted for finalists. And in my 3-minute, I had to really work on my nerves. The first time when I wrote my draft, I could only put it down in text. I could only share it with people in writing.
Mhm.
I got feedback the first few times in writing. When we finally nailed down the words that I could say, I had to do it video off because I couldn't do it without crying. And Anne let me pitch to her video off, went through it several times before I could go video on. But when I finally did the recorded version for the submission, there's a moment right in that transition where I introduce, who I am, that I'm with Persephone and that we're building a platform, and I put my glasses on in the video.
Mhm.
And when I rewatched it, I felt like that was a big deal moment for me as a founder. And I felt like it's one of those moments where you realize you just met your future self, and you just met the person you know you're about to become. You're stepping towards that. So it's very meaningful to me that you noticed that transition, because I equally agree that it has merit, and it's followed me throughout this journey, this pitch competition, meeting my future self in that exact transition point. So thank you for that.
That's an amazing way to express it, Ashley. Thank you for that. I'll leave it to
Thanks,
Jeremy.
Ashley.
All right, Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
Ashley, I think we've met before, but I don't remember exactly when, but at some point through this process. So I want to start with I think we've met before, because if we haven't, and you haven't spent a lot of time with me like some of the other people have, then I just want to make sure that I'm articulating that I can be quite direct, but it comes from a really good place. 97% of the time. There's a 3% it doesn't. This is not one of those 3% times. So I just want to kind of put that out there. First of all, I did want to say I saw the pitch when you did the pitch competition, and I saw it tonight. And there's a lot of good constructive feedback you're getting from people. My opinion is that one of the most important things you can do is be authentic. I think the hardest thing about being a woman founder and pitching that is this dynamic where for the most part, it's white men who you're talking to, and you're appealing to that audience, or trying to appeal to that audience if you're raising money or you're trying to generate interest. And it's an uphill climb. And I don't envy that for you. And I know I sit in a privileged place when I'm even bringing this up, but I think authenticity is important. Do what feels most comfortable for you, and you'll find, the right fit in terms of investors and support there. And I think people like Rana are great because they really upend the paradigm, and there are lots of other people out there like that as well. So I think authenticity is key. Less about being more emotional, less emotional. Just be yourself is really important. So I wanted to share with that. The note that Todd sent out said, let's help or understand what the next steps are for Persephone. And so my takeaway from the pitch is, and I'll be a little vulnerable with you also, my next step for the pitch is, I don't understand what the product does. So I kind of get that you're interested in helping victims of domestic violence. I kind of get that you're interested in creating some sort of pathing for security to get out of an abusive relationship. Is that something that's done proactively or reactively? What does the customer journey look like? How does your customer get this product, and how do they utilize the product in order to have it make a difference? Is there an education component? Is it strictly you have to have the education and then you get to use the product? How does that work? How does the insurance part work? Who's paying for that? What happens in the dynamic between an abuser and the abused if you're in a shared resources setting, you start seeing these kinds of expenses going to this kind of a product? I worry about that kind of paradigm, at least for the victim, for sure. And so I guess I would think about, what would that customer journey look like? And the last piece I'll put to this about in terms of vulnerability, I'm on the other end of the spectrum, which is I've actually been falsely accused of domestic violence in a acrimonious divorce used as leverage, which happens a lot. I don't know how often it happens, but enough to know that I've been in the legal system for a really, really long time, over and over again, proving my innocence. And I worry about the advent of technology, like whether it's not necessarily ChatGPT, because that's the written, but whatever these images, you see all of this deep fake technology that's out there. I worry about the use or the potential for misuse by nefarious intent. And so I guess when I think about the next steps, which is, what's your customer journey? How do you deal with potential fraud and exposure in that regard? And how, and specifically for customer journey, how does your customer use the product in order for it to be really successful? Or what is for you, how do you define those metrics of success? What are those touch points of, we have X number of users who are using the insurance product, or they're using the telematics product, or they're using Y product in terms of, my camera keeps on changing, so I keep on trying to find you as I look around. You can move over here now. So those are the ways that I think it could be, I would think of helpful for next steps. I'll stop there.
No, it's wonderful. You made some really valuable points, gets to the core of it. The feedback piece that you gave me that I think is the most meaningful is, I heard your pitch. I don't really understand what your product does. And that's something I would like to figure out how to eliminate. I haven't gotten that feedback before, but it is meaningful to me that someone said, yeah, I'm not really following you. And that's because while I have never really pitched before, I have heard people pitch before. And I often find myself stepping back and going, I'm not sure I really understand though, what you're going for, what you're trying to achieve. So if that's how you felt in experiencing that 8 minutes with me, then I want to, think about it. Plus, you meet the demographic of the market that we'd be talking to in the VC world. So that matters. But it was a lot of questions, a lot of good questions. I want to take the simplest part first and say, At its simplest form, what Persephone is a hidden app on your phone. So it does not look like what it is because it is designed to not be found by an abuser. So the TAM, SAM, SOM is for people that are believed to be in active abuse and own a smartphone. So you need to have a phone to use it. The base product is free and it's very simple. It does not look like what it is. It looks like a couponing app. It looks like a horoscope app. But when you open it, there is a way to interact with the main screen of the artificial app to get into the real app, which will then have the login section that takes you into what I think of as like the Persephone vault. So if I'm the abuser and I'm looking through your phone, I don't know that you have this because it looks like you have something else. And even if I open it, I still don't really know how to get beyond that. And then even if I can get beyond that, I still don't necessarily know how to get into your account. All of that aside, the point is that it empowers the person experiencing the abuse to keep, think of it like a highly encrypted diary, to store information while they are electing, and because it's not easy to exit that, they would be documenting through making text entries or uploading files and essentially creating a body of evidence that is time and date stamped and cannot be altered and is later certified by Persephone as an output PDF file or a hard copy that they could present to the police. They could SOS send it to their safe people, or they could use it later in a court of law to eliminate or minimize situations where an abuse victim eventually speaks out and people say, well, who did you tell? Did anybody see it happen? Did you tell anyone while it was happening? And they're saying, no, I was scared and I didn't want to blow up my relationship and I wasn't ready to call the police and I thought he would change, or I thought she would stop, or, you know, I really think it's an issue with their mental health, or it's drug addiction. And if I could just get them help, and all the things that you say and you think and you tell others when they ask you why you didn't do more to protect yourself. The point is, many people, I strongly believe, are not comfortable telling anyone. And the point is, you don't have to tell anyone. You can tell Persephone, you can tell this app. Now, on the back end of that, what is happening is, from a legal point of view, when you make text entries that are close to real-time representations of your experience, then you are creating something called contemporaneous notes. And they are admissible in court as evidence, and they are highly valued by judges. So part of what the Persephone app is doing is, through the prompts in the UI, it is encouraging users that it's okay to make the entry. It's giving them a safe place to put the information. And so at that future point in time, they're not re-victimized by being told, well, who did you tell? Well, who can we talk to? Did anyone know?
So Ashley, let me interrupt for a second, real quick there. I think this is part of that customer journey or persona worth refining, and like defining that person as, you know, Jeremy is a 47-year-old man who is in he's in a 10-year relationship, and he's experienced abuse for, you know, X number of years, and detail the kind of abuse. And then the part where, so there's the disconnect for me in what you were sharing now is, if I'm afraid to tell somebody, if I'm that person who needs this because I'm not communicating to somebody, I don't have that outlet, how am I getting to Persephone? What's that look like? Is it because I saw an ad? Is it because I did a Google search, right? Like, what's that customer acquisition process look like for the company? So I'm thinking about it not just in like a, let's do right by the customer or by the person, but let's think about it as this is a customer. So what's the business piece of this? How does that person get there? Like, how does
it might be an ad, it might be some interaction through social media, it may be from a friend who suspects that you might need to do something to keep yourself safe. It might be that it's targeted marketing. Maybe, we can certainly hone in on people that are Googling certain things, trafficking certain websites. Doesn't even mean they need to be interacting with like a DV hotline. There's another layer to it, which is partnerships, partnering with existing nonprofits that are in the space with people that probably are telling someone, obviously, and letting the partnerships know that we're here and that this is an option available to them.
I think that would be really good to have maybe a slide in whatever next step presentation that is, these are these different customer journeys. Jeremy's the one who's by himself. Todd is the person who's already in a support group. Sima she's a friend of so-and-so who knows, of Susan, and knows that this is what's going on in Susan's life. And this is each customer journey just really specifically laid out. It will help someone like me who's trying to grasp, how do I get there? It might help that other person think about, oh, now I totally get it. You just gave me a roadmap to customer acquisition and customer usage that might really help whatever, phase 2 or the next conversation is in there.
And I think I'm going to share briefly and just talk about this because it helps me to visualize it. The Persephone core product is free. And so people can make entries and have the app for free. And the idea is that you have the most people in the free band. And then you have a subset of those people that elect to buy up into the pro. So free, freemium. These are the numbers of what that looks like in market share and user count progressing through years 1 through 5. So if we have 700,000 people sign up for the free version and a very small portion come in and pay, in year 1, it's not out of the realm of possibility. I don't think these numbers are unreasonable when you're offering something for free. I think the bigger challenge is going to be how long can we support the free users until the revenue shows up to make it more sustainable. But even at these current levels, the market share, I'm going to flip tabs, is still very small relative to the people that are impacted. And I think that question just came through in chat. How many people do we think are in this situation and have a smartphone? So globally, it's 882 million. And domestically, it's around 36 million. And so this is what the global outlook is for Persephone, if it's offered around the world. Now, this is assuming a lot of things, one of which is that countries would even allow it, or that it would be meaningful in the legal system. And the reason why I don't think it's fair to start off with a global metric for success is we know this will work in the United States legal system. We know that courtrooms will allow it in. We know that it has value. Lawyers have been consulted. I don't know if that's going to translate to every other country, and we can't afford to research every other country. So, but in the United States, the market share stays pretty small, and this is through year 5. It's 12%, try out the free product, and 5% buy the pro product, and less than 1% buys the insurance, and 2% buy the jewelry. So, I think this helps me picture where we could go in the next few years. I'm gonna turn off the screen share and just come back into the room. Does that help?
Look, I think it's great showing the numbers. I do think that for someone like me, and I might be alone, I'd be curious what other people think, it doesn't still articulate to me what the product is. What are those free users doing? What are they getting? What do they get for free? How do they get there? And it sounds like it might be just tracking, taking notes, or documenting something through the app. Is it a video? Is it audio? Is it written, typed? I don't know what that is. So I think really having some level of explicit detail what that user's doing at that stage would certainly help me understand more clearly what's going on at that stage. And then I think maybe you want to hear from other people instead of me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm interested if anyone else would like us to go deeper on that, or if we want to.
Well, so just to look at the time, Ashley, I know that there were some questions. I mean, they've got a bunch of hands up still. You had some stuff that you wanted to prepare specifically for the LinkedIn Live thing. Do you have questions or something specific you want to do, or should we just go to the raised hands right now? I just want to make sure that we're being as valuable for what you need as possible. What would you like us to do?
I think the raised hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll go
I don't want to
to.
skip anyone.
All right. I can skip them. I mean, they'll hate me later, but I can skip them. No, Gian, and then we'll go to Andrea.
Okay, great. This is so cool. Thanks for, of course, the 8 minutes version is much better than the 5 minutes version. Ashley, I really appreciate that. Of course, at the same time, thank you, Todd and Susan, for the startup giveaways. Yay. So the most significant effect for this 8 minutes talk this time that I feel like you added probably only one sentence for the insurance that you explained. And I think just the key. Wonderful. That is purposely, you have to emphasize that point when you're on the LinkedIn, because it will give you the advertisement to get more people really believe your insurance is much more stand, not just money wise, but is evidence supporting in court or the value of abuse report. And that is absolutely, do you know why? Because you actually borrowed small business security insurance protection concept into it. It is very, very important. Okay, and that is original how the business owner protect their business value, like a, you know, that golden handcuff, right? It's same concept.
And
So,
it may
twisted a little bit. Yeah, twisted.
It may come up tomorrow. The questions for tomorrow, there's a run of show. We've been through it. They're preset questions that will be part of the conversation. It's really targeted around pitching your AI first venture. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure how broadly I want to talk about the insurance products yet. I'd like to be a little further along in establishing. I don't think we'll be able to hold tight to it forever, but I believe strongly in first to market advantage. So yeah, it's an exciting part of it for me as well, but I don't know if it will come up tomorrow, and those are really the reasons why.
Well, that's either way, you do whatever you have to do, but just grab any chance that this is great. Another point is that this 8 minutes, really, if you could put a little more detailed, powerful support evidence for your pitching, that will add much more value. It's like exponentially lend to you automatically after your pitch. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Andrea, and then we'll go to Link and then Susan.
Hi, Ashey. Let me turn on my camera. Although
Hi.
I'm a mess today, but and that way I can see you and you can see me. I think I've mentioned to you that this is something that, and I'm really grateful for you to do openness and putting all things just like that. but I'm kind of with Jeremy right now for various reasons. And the first one is your demographic target. Your demographic target seems to come from privilege. It's not the same experience that communities that are not privileged have when it comes to support. Even though in your experience you might think you didn't have support. So the other thing that I wanna also and the reason why I understand Jeremy's point is that this can also be used as a trying to damage spouses that are not guilty. For example, if someone is gathering notes just in case they get abused, and they don't get abused, really, they can just they can have a fight like spouses have, but
I'm going to go ahead and reply to both of these things.
Yeah.
The first one is, I 100% experienced my story with every advantage and privilege, every single one.
Yes.
And it was still horrible, nightmarish. And because of that, I have a lot of conviction around, I spent a lot of nights thinking about how in the world were people going through this that did not have the resources I had, the privilege I had. And it is because of that I believe very strongly this has to exist. It has to exist for people that don't have access to resources, or even if they do, they certainly don't have the width and depth that I had. And if it was that hard with all of the things that I could tap, then I can't imagine how hard it is for other people that can't, do that. And to the second point, false accusations of abuse are a big deal. They are a big deal. And I'm not saying that they don't happen, but I'm saying we have a situation in this country where we re-victimize people by asking them over and over again to prove their experience was real. And if someone has enough commitment to destroying someone, to make entries for 6 months or a year, to collect videos, to make notes late at night, talking about what they're going through, all fabrications, that's extreme in my mind. Extreme that someone's really going to do that. And I do think that we can lean on some technology here, some artificial intelligence, to vet entries, to rate how high risk your situation is. How long were you making entries? Do we think they're authentic? I think there's real potential with enough data to start putting some of that package together and helping the court system gain confidence on who to believe and who to trust, and who should we listen to, what really happened here. Persephone is not built for someone that comes in and makes 2 or 3 entries and gets a report out and says, look, here, I was abused. That's not who it's for. Persephone is for someone who sat in an abusive relationship for 2 years and made notes every couple of days and has the receipts, but just wasn't telling anyone else. Maybe it's not 2 years, maybe it's 6 months, but it's there to add credibility to a victim's experience. And I'm not saying that people won't abuse that. I think there are all kinds of people in the world. But I'm saying the fact that someone out there might choose to abuse it is not a reason for it not to exist.
I do understand. But I still think there is a lot more research. There needs to be a starting point, and a starting point is what you're doing. But we need, if we put it in technology terms or in business terms, we do need the different personas, and we do need the difference between, I wouldn't like to be abused for 2 years, to be honest with you. Collect information just that for 2 years, I'm gonna have belief. I was not believed. Just, you know, so that means that I have to go through it anyway to be believed and gather the information. And at that point, at the point of the ones that do not come with privilege, when they're not believed, and even if they have people that listen to them, but that doesn't mean, those who listen doesn't mean that the ones who will determine my faith or the faith of the victim will believe if I have to go through it 2 years. So if I have to go through it 2 years, my psyche is already damaged. Now, in order for a victim to get that strong and realize that it's a victim, the psyche of the victim is already damaged and is already under the control of the victimizer. So we need to understand how to help the victim recognize that it's being a victim in a situation that is an actual victimizing situation. Because I've been witness of all of the ends of the victim, the victim that it becomes a victim of the system, taking their kids away, being a victim, and then the victim being becoming the person who the victim said is being victimized, and then the victimizer is actually the victim. So there,
Sure. I mean, there are layers of complexity to these situations, especially in intimate partner relationships. I'm going to lean on many years in the insurance industry and say, sometimes at a certain point, you do your best to show up for your customer, and then you let the lawyers figure it out. And that's going to happen with this product. To some degree, it will come down to how a court system views abuse and how accepting they are of innovation and what they think of the technology. And, you know, is it a clear package of evidence? And, you know, 3 entries in text form are not the same as 6 months worth of regular entries plus audio and video that's been transcribed into text form.
But I think Andrea, oh, sorry to interrupt. But I think what Andrea really hit on is the paradox inherent with the product, right? Which is, if you're already in the abusive relationship, who's going to tell you, you got to start tracking that and recording this, keep putting yourself in that situation so that you get the evidence that you need, so then it's going to be available to your attorneys later. Like, that could be one of your personas of like, we're first going to go to family law firms, and we're going to go to family law firms. We're going to help use this as a way to encourage their clients to protect themselves in the future. Right. Or, you know, something of that ilk. It's complicated to get that user into the ecosystem.
It is, and it's at what stage? And a lot of this, I think, is grassroots too. There are a lot of boards out there, Facebook boards, where women talk about these issues, and they talk about how they know they post anonymously. They know they're in a situation. They're vetting with other people around them. Is this acceptable? Is it not acceptable? I don't know what to do. I have children, etc.
So I think leaning on that community to identify what your core 2, 3, 4, I don't know what the right number is, but that core early adopter audience is going to be for the product will be really helpful, so that you can identify, are we just going for a privileged dynamic? And we've got to think about that group of folks. Are we going for people who already have representation in the legal system? We're going for people who don't have legal representation. Like, those personas, really like doing that type of research is going to help you identify your early customers.
I think the market's about to tell us some of the answers to these questions.
That's right.
Yeah.
My turn.
Well, hold on, Link. I know, Susan, hold on 1 second, Link. Susan, I know you got to drop. Did you want to go?
Well, Yeah, I mean, apologies, I came in late. I just have family that arrived early, and they've just been driving for 10 hours, and that's why I totally missed the start of this. But Link, I mean, do you want to go, and then I can ask my
You just have a question. I have a couple comments and things that haven't been touched on.
Yeah.
But go ahead. If you
Yeah, apologies. I mean, they are literally like, they're all like downstairs wanting to be fed. I'm thinking about throwing breadcrumbs out of the window, but thank you, Link. Then I'll just go. So Ashley, I mean, it is such a good thing that you're doing. Would love to talk to you about the privilege thing some more. It's a really good thing for us both to think of. You know, I come from privilege as well, and kind of using that in mine as well. And I guess my one thing for tomorrow, because I was thinking over kind of all the questions that I got last year during it, is when you get to, I'm assuming they're asking you about your origin story. And the cool thing, and I didn't do a very good job of answering this, and Rana and I talked about it afterwards. And so I'll tell you this. The first is your origin story of why you, which you have down so gloriously. The second piece of it is why you now. And I think the power of using AI, your kind of combination of it's you, it's your story, it's AI, it's HBAP, it's like the combination of all that. If you can talk about that as well, I think that frees up a lot of people that are going to be listening to you to think, you know, maybe I should think about AI, maybe I should go to HBAP, maybe I should learn more about AI, instead of just like, oh my God, it's, you know, just some kind of weird, powerful, unimaginable thing that I could never understand. So that would be my only suggestion to you tomorrow, assuming you are doing the origin.
That's on the list. I think
Okay, yeah,
it's the first question.
okay. So
yeah.
to talk about like why you and why you now, and what did HBAP do and what did AI do, and kind of free the audience up to understand that there's this very powerful set of tools and data that is now available, and how you're going to take advantage of them as well.
Thank you. That's very helpful, because I'm working on framing my responses right now. And
yeah, and just so awesome. I mean, yeah, it's just it's such a neat idea, and it's so needed. Yeah, it's just so needed. So
thank you, Susan.
Good on you. And thank you all, and apologies for coming late. And now I'm gonna go feed the hordes.
Thanks, Susan.
Bye, Susan.
See ya.
Link, thanks for the patience. Appreciate it.
No worries. I was actually like the second person to put my hand up, and then I forgot. I guess I hit it and put it down, and that's all right. So I have a couple thoughts and comments. All cheers, here. Great, good job echoing what everybody else said. I do sit with like I would love to talk offline with you on another call, because there's some pieces and parts I would love to go through with you on. The thing that popped up for me when when they were given their pitch feedback, I heard them say 4 different occasions, the same thing, but in a different way. What is your product and how does it make money? What is your actual execution strategy? How is this going to generate dollars? There's a disconnect somewhere between the wearable product and the insurance. You have these two things aligning. You have this insurance background, but the product is still a little gray, things you could do. And so I have some points of advice for you, for one, and two, a couple pieces of caution. One, I strictly advise plan to create an ethics advisory council within your company. That you are a non-voting member. And the people that are part of it right now are non-voting members, and that you pull people from the securities industry, legal industry, social sciences industry, to talk about the ethics behind the collection of data and information related to domestic violence. Because one, for starters, the recorded information within a domestic violence situation, if you record, it's not admissible in court, but it is required by police to substantiate a restraining order. And so there's a piece within the app that's got to be able to, yes, collect the document information for the judge side of it, for the legal side of it, without getting themselves wrapped up in the legal, getting in trouble for recording. And so that's one big piece I wanted to kind of point out, is make sure ethics and all of that. But the next part is the business piece of it. There's a couple different ways you could go about doing this. I think your story is powerful, but right now, since you're still really kind of in idea stage and not launched a product per se, the story, it holds back the possibility that this can be used in a variety of different market segments outside the scope of domestic violence victims. You could have people that are trying to fight against their employer for the sexual discrimination at work, and they want to buy a wearable product, subscribe to an app, pay a monthly fee, and get the insurance with it. So that way, when they do go to file a claim of harassment and they lose their job, they have something to rely on and fall back on, that they've created themselves a little nest egg. This is also great for college age people, especially LGBT people, that gay men do not report their domestic violence. The statistics of men in violent relationships and coercive control within relationships is huge among men, but men don't talk about it. So it can be a two-way street. So I think when you're promoting the product, the story of you being a woman and that there's so many women in domestic violence situations kind of highlights the fact that it's victimology, victimizing the woman all over again, that you're a woman, you're a victim, you need this app to help you. Whereas if it's an app, if it's a tool, if it's a product that's for everyone or anyone that feels like they might be in an abusive situation, that feels like they're being targeted at work, that feels like they're being followed home. I'm terrified of law enforcement. I would wear the hell out of a necklace that's collecting AI and information for the over 200 times I've been pulled over in my lifetime because I'm transgender, and the 3 times I've been jailed because of it. And so when I think about the reverse side of it, yes, there are some problems and some challenges like that were raised about the both sides of the story per se, and the rules about recording. But I think if you market this and promote it as a tool that is for anyone that wants to protect themselves, and that when they purchase and buy this tool and subscribe, they get the insurance with it that provides them a little nest egg or connection to resources. And there's all these different features within the app, because then you have a product that you can say, this is the cost per month. This is the target customer. Yes, there's all these millions of women in the world being in abusive situation. However, the people that are likely to buy this product may not be the impoverished. So how you get those? Nonprofits, 99% of the funding that goes to organizations that serve and support domestic violence comes from the nonprofit world and philanthropy. 99% of those nonprofits will not pay you for a subscription because their grants require them to provide service to a certain population, or there's rules. However, if you go to foundations, the bigger foundations that have been known to pay for domestic violence support services, you're a for-profit. Basically, you pitch to them to say you would write a grant that is a skeleton grant that the nonprofits would submit to the grant foundation to draw in funds, and then they would earmark those funds to you. So there's 3 members of the party. There's the fiduciary agent among the nonprofit entity. There's you, the business provider, and then there's the philanthropist, the foundation that controls and receives that grant. And so that usually takes a process of a couple months, but that's how I've been finding some success with NAZ Local to get the nonprofits to subscribe. They won't do it directly, but the foundations will write checks for $50,000 to $100,000 if they think you're going to solve a problem that they've been trying to solve forever. So find
Very
out
cool.
where their pain points are, and that's what you want to address when you go to find, once you have a MVP app to show them or whatever you have, that's when you go for them. But your starting market may not be the domestic violence victim. It might just be anyone who feels targeted.
You know, I resonate with a lot of what you're saying. I think we should talk offline. That was really valuable intel. I know what I know, and I certainly don't know yet what I don't know. And I've
Right.
never worked in the nonprofit space. I know there's opportunity for alignment there, but it sounds like you could help me understand what's out there and
Yeah.
what's possible.
Let's talk. I've been
Yeah,
following your
speed.
progress for a long time. I've been
Okay.
following a long time, and I'm
Wonderful.
really
Thank
interested
you.
with what you're doing. I think you're doing great. I think you're doing great, but there's some fine tuning. And so that's what I would say prepare for tomorrow is when you get that question, how are you going to make money? You don't know the specifics yet of what you're going to charge or how much it's going to make, but you know who your target market is, and you know where your leaning is for your most valuable product of a wearable thing with an app or the whatever. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you could hammer that away in 2 sentences, and I think it'll seal your deal.
Thank you. And, I agree. I think there's a lot of applications for Persephone that I haven't even thought about yet, and some that have just presented to me. I was getting my hair done a couple of weeks ago, and so I was talking about Persephone, and my hairdresser is going through an elongated divorce. It's not related to abuse, but there is a custody battle happening, and she's a great hairdresser. But she's like, my attorney wants me to keep a diary and then turn the diary along with daily pictures of what I'm doing with my child and create it and put it all into a PDF file, because we're getting ready, ultimately, I'm sure, to wind up in court, and they want to bring in some documentation to show that she's doing all the things expected of her as a mom. And she goes, it sounds like I could just make entries on Persephone and put my pictures, and you could make that file for me, because I don't know how to make a PDF file. And I thought,
gotta see you get
that's
this
a
off
really
the ground.
simple translation, but yes. And she goes, well, just
Yeah.
text me when it's live, because I need that. Because, she's like, that's not my specialty. I don't know how to make a PDF file to go to court. It's not even as sinister of a motive. She just is being asked to create something that is what Persephone is there to do. So I think we're going to find those market opportunities. I think the market, to some extent, will advise us as we go on who can use this, and that will shift our target and shift our messaging, because the application, once built and in place, can be used in a number of ways, and it's really about helping people with empowerment. So whatever that looks like for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, as I've been an attorney for over 20 years, and I've helped with a number of civil law and divorce custody battles. And it's always a disaster, and it's always different in every case, and nothing's ever the same and can be consistent. It always threw me a curveball. So I feel it. I'm passionate about it. I support you.
Well,
Good job.
I can't wait to chat more. I want to mention too, the Ethics Advisory Committee you opened with this idea, and we've already talked about that inside of Persephone. And I think it's going to be early when, the formation of that. I think it's going to be really important. One of the things that concerns me is I've always envisioned that this will be a company that, much like your email provider, it is a technology services company, provides the secure storage of your data that is yours to own. And therefore, I think often about the legal ramifications of holding such sensitive information, and who else might want access to it, and who might try to subpoena access to it, and what things we may need to navigate in that space. And also just the ethical concern that I have is, what happens if a customer of ours befalls some fate, is gone missing? There is a time sensitive situation. Is there a moment when you choose to read the entries? Is there a moment where you release the entries? Do we give that power back to our users? Do we allow them to tell us how far we're allowed to go with their data if there is a true safety concern? I think we may genuinely stare down situations like that. And what is the hard but most correct thing to do? And I think an ethics committee that sits in the middle of that process and helps evaluate those situations is going to be important. So I'm glad you brought it up. It's very important to us as well.
Ashley, I know you've got a hard stop in 6 minutes. Do we have time for Donna? Donna? Yes, Ashley, we're good. We can do. Okay, I'm seeing a smile. Donna?
Yeah, I was actually
Yes.
going to cover much the same ground as what Link did, and he probably did a way better job than me. And as a lawyer, like I do have concerns. Like I know that, we here in my province in Canada, you can have one-sided recorded conversations as well that you can put into court and stuff. So there is an opportunity, but at the same time, these privacy rights are growing too. So it's a really unknown market. And I just don't know if you've started any pilot projects or think of what your pilot projects are, but I can see that being connected with a like a university or like we have women's emergency shelters. Like I'm just trying to think of to figure out how that's going to be used. And apart from what Andrea said about people of privilege, I told you the story, and I think some of you here know the story about my student that just recently committed suicide that had every advantage, including having her mom was a lawyer. She had every advantage in counseling, whatever, and she was the subject of domestic violence, and she just disappeared. And I just recently looked at my last email from her and to her, which my one to her think came after she passed, but discussing about her purpose and stuff. And so I think that also somehow if that data that you can gather, like this is such a hidden problem that I'm just so glad that you're attacking it. And I do want to be involved in some way in your project. But if you have to start with the privileged people, that eventually will establish the rules and the evidentiary rules and go to court and get it all sorted out so that other people can use it, then, more power to that.
Well, I agree. I mean, thank you, Donna, for saying that. And, what better way to leverage privilege than case law precedent that can help more people?
And that's also what you should highlight somewhere along the lines is what you will give back. Because you're a for-profit, that is something you can totally give back. Highlighting the stories, highlighting the privilege piece of it, that you could have a bunch of subscribers, but you're donating back 10% to children that are in foster homes because of domestic violence.
I agree. I agree. And I think there could even be a future where if we find that there's market fit, if this works, if it works the way that I see it unfolding in my mind, that Persephone does have its own nonprofit. It just isn't going to be the first thing that we're able to do.
Donna, thank you. Ashley, thank you very much for this. Mafe put the link to the LinkedIn Live thing in the Zoom chat earlier, so we've got that ready to go. Thank you for coming and sharing this with all of us.
Thank you, Todd. I really enjoyed it. I have a few more minutes. If you want to hang out, or I can bug off. I'm writing down some notes from chat there, so I'm going to be here for a second regardless.
Victor just raised his hand.
All right.
Yes, just a thought as you were talking about advertising. I don't know if it comes up in the conversation tomorrow, but the idea that just like your app has to be anonymized, so does your advertising, right? It has to hide behind a public service announcement that anybody would feel comfortable calling and not tip the hand that there's this powerhouse of resources behind it to uphold the legal case against an abuser, because you really have to anonymize it from the abuser, right? As you know very well. So the idea of thinking of it in terms of fully anonymized but fully accessible, that will drive people in. It might draw some people to say, oh, I heard that ad for the third time. Maybe something's telling me I should call the hotline, whatever the hotline is, but nothing to do with Persephone. And in the background, it triggers the whole interaction with Persephone and the potential of addressing that problem.
Yes, I agree. And this is something that I spent a lot of time just turning over and over in my mind is how do you safely and successfully marketing's already hard, right? We spend lots of money on it. We don't know which parts work. It's getting better, but maybe more expensive. Put your money in the black box slot machine. Those things are real. So how do I do that successfully for a product that I need the right people to know is out there? They don't want people to know that they are my target market because they're not really advertising their situation. And I need to really do a good job of getting in front of them, but I have to find them. But also I don't want to market so much that the counterparty also knows everything there is to know about Persephone.
Exactly. And the thought that came to mind while you were answering that was psychologists and psychiatrists who can take that marketing to a place that it achieves all that. They may be the experts in it, not necessarily a marketing expert.
Right. And I think this also ties in with tomorrow's LinkedIn Live. One thing that I wasn't prepared for when we were prepping for day of show and going through it is at the end, Doug said, okay, so we round out the questions, but the question's going to be, what's your call to action? And I realized that I didn't know what my call to action was going to be. You know, we're midstream on building this app. It's just a few weeks away from going live. Right, wrong, or otherwise, I've made the decision to publish it to Android and iOS and go global. So 177 countries where it's going to be available. In part because I want the analytics. I want to know who and where is interested in downloads it. Doesn't mean we can market to all of them, but it's going to go broadly. And I want to see what kind of success or failure it meets with. And the truth is, when I was asked to quantify a call to action, I stumbled in the prep meeting because I thought, I don't know what I need. I mean, I need everything. I'm going to need a lot of talented people to help, but I'm not prepared to pay them because we're not making revenue yet. And then the question is, I said, well, maybe talent. And Doug said, okay, so you're hiring. And I thought, well, no, I'm not hiring because I don't have the money to pay salaries yet. And then I thought, but I'm not going to ask for investment because I also don't have a live product with subscribers yet. You know, and I'm sharing that here vulnerably in startups because I know that people here understand that. And it's this cart horse problem. Where do we start? And, you know, obviously I would welcome, you know, Ann and I would be thrilled to have any of these things, talented people that want to be founding team members and people that want to think about it from an angel investing standpoint. But, you know, I don't want to get ahead of myself either. So I think the real way to go to market here is going to be partnerships. And the thing that I'm going to talk about tomorrow is partnerships. You know, there is an opportunity to partner with Persephone early on and to be part of beta and to start vetting it and to be an expert in your field, whether that's law enforcement, a psychologist's office, whether it's an advocacy group whose grassroots been out there trying to do this because they care so much, whether it's family law attorneys, you know, there are opportunities for partnerships. And our plan for go-to-market at the onset is going to be, there's no financial obligation to be a partner of Persephone. If you become a partner of Persephone because our missions are aligned in some way, or, you know, you have a reason that you think you're tapped into the people that we're trying to reach, then we welcome you and you'll be a presence in our digital footprint. We'll meet with them at least monthly and understand what our partners are looking for and what could be helpful. You'll be welcomed to the brand. And I plan to send people hard copy promotional materials that they could hang up a poster in their office. They could have like a style of business card with a QR code. I don't recommend someone in abuse hang on to that for very long, but they could take one, understand that there's an option for them. They could scan the QR code, get the app and get configured, but it becomes a liaison that can put us in front of the right people. So there'll be a welcome kit welcoming you to the Persephone brand. And I want to make it very easy to become a partner of Persephone. We're not going to ask you for money to try to get in front of the people that need access to this app. And we're not going to ask for money for you to have the base version. I think it's important that people be able to create their evidence file, even if they don't have privilege. So we'll see from there how far we get, frankly.
Ashey, I know you're at time.
My babies aren't home yet.
Oh, so in that case, should we go to Gian?
We can, until I
Oh.
hear them blow through the back door, then you can all meet them, but. yeah.
Awesome.
Are we
Gian,
gonna continue to record?
we're still recording for now, unless you want to go into overtime and I can stop recording.
Okay. Yeah, just to add a little bit that you were talking about call on action. I think the best solution for now, the stage that you cannot raise any money yet, you're in the processing, and then you says, corporation support, you can make it wider, a little bit wider, to arouse the whole society, support those being abused, or somebody near you, around you, give them support. This is a solution. Please spread out the words. I am here to help those people. Please help me to arouse the sensors. I don't know how you describe the way that more touching for the people, our feelings for those people being abused in any way, any level, and then ask the whole society to support you. That way, you needed B2B, B2C, C2C, whatever. You needed them all. Any support. That is your call of action. I think that will work for you.
Thank you. I agree.
All right. On that note, we've had a few people drop off, but I guess we'll end it here. Just as a little quick reminder, next week, June 28th, Cynthia Gilbert from Blue Shift IP will be coming to talk about protecting intellectual property for artificial intelligence in technology. So that should be a very fun conversation on IP, which I find very fascinating. Anyway, I'm going to end the recording here. Thank you all for coming. I will see you guys next week.